Now it's time now for the Wall Street Beat Ivy League universities. They are now changing their tune on standardized testing. Dartmouth, where trustees include finance and business veterans, including BDT and MSD's co-CEO Greg Lemkow and Sageview Capital Scott Stewart, is following MIT now in requiring standardized testing for applicants, and it's reigniting a debate over whether testing helps or hurts low-income students. Dartmouth says the move will attract more diverse candidates, and Bloomberg's Janet Lorin covers education and joins me now. Janet, how do people generally feel about this move from Dartmouth after MIT?
Well, if you're a high school student, you're probably not happy. And if you're the parent of a high school student, you're probably equally upset. So what does it mean? If you talk to students who are attending top suburban high schools, private high schools, they've probably been already taking the test more than once and submitting their scores. They had the option not to submit them before, but I think the advice has always been if you have a really good test score, always submit it. It can't hurt you if you've done well. The question is, well, what if you're not a great test taker? What does that mean for you? So when tests were optional, as they had been during the pandemic, people would submit test scores. And even as they started moving towards post-pandemic life, those who submitted test scores were very high. So what does that happen? The average score of those with a test is really, really high. So it looks like it's impossible to get into these schools with high test scores because only the top scores are making through. So
is it the truth that it does help broaden the applicant pool after so much dispute around the affirmative action policies at these elite institutions?
Well, there's two sides of it. For a long time, we've heard that these test scores really favor wealthy kids because they have the time, they can take more testing, test prep. And at the same time, you're hearing from MIT and Dartmouth that actually it will help a lower income student, especially if they can view it in the context of your high school. Let's say the average score is not so terrific at your high school, but you score extremely high, even though it may be lower than the median score at Dartmouth or MIT. It gives the colleges a little bit more information that this student is really performing well at the high school.
What does it mean for other schools? Do we think that a lot of other elite universities will follow suit? And what is the question around Harvard? There's already obviously a lot else going on there. Are they expected to follow suit?
Well, it's not clear what other schools are going to do. Everyone wants to do their own evaluation and make a decision. Harvard said in 2021 that they would not be requiring test scores for 4 years. So what does that mean? I think we could probably say that's safe to listen to what they said several years ago. Remember, they had a big affirmative action case where they were not allowed to use race in admissions. That came down in June. So they're not going to have test scores. They're not going to have data to look at how race is having a factor in admissions. So they're likely to stick where they are, but it's not clear for the other schools.
While we talk about Harvard really quickly here, talk to us about the new top governing board with the addition of executives formerly of Merck and of KKR. Does this change the calculus for the school?
Well, Harvard Corporation, yes, they announced 2 new members last night. And what does it mean? Harvard, as we know, has been embroiled in tons of controversy for the last few months. They're facing inquiries in 2 congressional committees. We had a story last week about the state of Massachusetts looking to tax its $51 billion endowment. I think it's clear that they're having some governance issues, and having 2 people who have run big public companies will certainly help.